Before anything happens in this video, I would like to give a quick little disclaimer. This video contains spoilers for Project Sekai or Colourful Palette, however you want to call it. That is the first one. Second of all, I am a Western Project Sekai fan. I've never been to Japan and I am not a professional or anything. I'm just a massive weeb who gathered a lot of info about Japan throughout my years on the internet. I'd say my most recent sources are from my Japanese friend from university and the Goddamn Trash Taste podcast. Very professional sources, I know. So please take everything I say with a grain of salt. This isn't any academic research, this is literally just my own personal opinion. Second, or third disclaimer at this point, I am a queer person, so the few bits where I speak about the struggles of queer people, I know what I'm talking about. And last disclaimer, I promise, I am behind on official content, so I have not read every single event story and card story that came out, so if I don't mention anything that's relevant from the game as official content, it's probably because I didn't read it yet. I am sorry. Most of the info I am saying will be based from the Nycord at 25 main story, as well as the Kamiyama Fest stuff. But yeah, I don't mention that much stuff anyways, I just felt like specifying that I am behind on official content. Okay, let's start the video! Hello! I don't want to make a 7-hour-long intro because the disclaimer was so long. So basically, I know this is not my usual content, I know I've been on a long-ass hiatus, but bear with me. I'm here to talk about a silly little gacha game and a character in it who I like a whole lot. Okay, let's start the video essay. Woo! Akiyama Mizuki is a character from the gacha game and rhythm game Hatsune Miku Colourful Stage. They are really beloved in the Western and Japanese fandom, and I'd say they definitely are a fan favorite, even though all the characters are very appreciated. I just love this game. I'm already rambling. I am so sorry. I am also very sorry if you're not familiar with the game. I'm gonna try my best to explain everything so you don't need to be, but anyways, let's get to the point. Akiyama Mizuki is really beloved in the Western fandom, I believe, for, well, their personality being great and just them being a very well-written character, but lots of people like the fact that they are very obviously queer-coded, and they are. Let's talk about that. They're a really well-written queer-coded character, which isn't a very, normal, usual sight in media, especially Japanese media, so yay, we got some good representation! Basically, what we know for now, what is canon, is that their gender isn't confirmed. All of the characters have their genders confirmed in their character description, and for Mizuki we just see a bunch of question marks. And in the English translation, they use they, them pronouns. In Japanese, the original language of the game, pronouns aren't really a thing. It's a lot. Gender doesn't work in Japanese like it works in English, so I wouldn't say that. In English, usually when someone uses singular they, them, it's either because you don't know their gender and you don't want to assume it, that's probably what the game is currently doing, or people who use they, them as their pronouns, usually it's non-binary people or gender non-conforming people, but not all the time. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is, Mizuki using they, them in the English translation doesn't mean that they're confirmed to be non-binary, it just means that it's the closest translation they could get from the original language of Japanese, but they definitely do have some gender stuff going on, in the game, basically. They are shown how they looked in middle school during the Akiyama Fest event. Kamiyama. in-game high school had an event, and Mizuki was in it, and basically it talked about their friendship with Rui, another character, and they were in the same middle school, and in middle school Mizuki looked a lot more like unhappy with their life, and they were wearing a boys' school uniform and had shorter hair. Lots of people think that implies that they were assigned male at birth, or like that they wore a boys' school uniform because they were quote-unquote forced to because of the gender they were assigned that at birth. Again, that is not confirmed. The reason why they were wearing a boys' uniform is not confirmed. We just see them wearing it, and the most obvious explanation is that they were assigned male at birth. The other things about them, they use boku pronouns, which the Project Sekai wiki says that it's usually a male pronoun, even though the Japanese language nowadays is evolving and personal pronouns referring to like yourself, like boku, watashi, ore, all of these, you weebs have heard them. Originally, they were connected to gender, but nowadays, Japanese has that a lot less. For example, I asked my Japanese friend from uni, and she said that boku is a more like cutesy pronoun, like younger people usually use it, and it makes a lot of sense for Mizuki to use it because they really like cute things. They are obsessed with like kawaii aesthetics, so of course they use boku. But yeah, I don't think that's necessarily related to their gender, so that's another thing I wanted to address. But yeah, at the end of the day, their actual gender isn't confirmed yet, but it is definitely hinted that they do have something going on with it. But yeah, all of that is about why people think that they are queer in the first place. However, the game handles those elements and just Mizuki being an overall really well character, because all of their gender stuff that is clearly important isn't their only personality trait. What? A trans character, or like character who has gender stuff, having other things going on for them than just their gender? Never seen before. Revolutionary. Holy hell. Like, basically what I'm trying to say is that Mizuki has a lot going on besides their gender, and that's really important. When media has queer characters, they tend to focus way too much on their queerness and forget about the fact that they are characters who are supposed to be written like people, who have multiple facades to themselves. In other media, sometimes queer characters are just that to appeal to the LGBTQ community, or like be #woke, and kind of, it's like a marketing thing. But in Prosecca, it actually has a purpose, and it fits well in the story. Because, well, the story is about young people's struggles, and Miku basically giving everyone therapy, and I think showing that queer young people also have struggles amongst a bunch of other non-queer young people. Debatable. Prosecca characters be kind of fruity, though. Anyways, like, it makes sense for them to be that. It makes sense for Project Sekai's cast to have queer characters in the context of the story and the game. So yeah, I don't necessarily think that queer representation always has to have a purpose, but what I'm trying to say is they didn't just slap a queer character in for the sake of having one. It makes sense for them to be there. And it doesn't really dehumanize them, like sometimes non-binary characters are non-human, like Lamau, imagine they, them, robo-nana, or like, you know what I mean, like sometimes non-binary characters are in media, but they're aliens or robots and not actual humans. So yeah, Prosecca could have had a robot or Vocaloid be gender non-conforming, but no, they chose a human, so that's good. So in conclusion, because of all of the things I mentioned, lots of Western fans think it would be great and important if it became canon that Mizuki is non-binary or trans or queer or gender non-conforming. And I agree, like, if it was canon, Mizuki would be one of the best written non-binary characters I know. So yeah, like, all of that is very great and valid of the Western fandom to think. However, all of that is a very small portion of why I think Mizuki's character is great and important. And Mizuki's overall importance as a character completely changes if we consider that Proseka is a Japanese game and their target audience is Japanese people. So yeah, let's talk about that. As I said earlier, Project Sekai is a game about young people facing struggles and Miku and other virtual singers basically giving them free therapy. So their goal is to have realistic and relatable struggles for their characters, speaking is my passion, to make players more attached to the game. It's like, marketing-wise, makes sense. If you find characters relatable, you'll love them, get attached, spend money. But also, from a practical point of view, I think it's a really well-written game, and lots of the characters have more realistic struggles. Like, for example, More Jump, the idol group of the game, literally talk a whole lot about the darker sides of the idol industry, things that are actually realistic. So yeah, and all of that, again, in Japan for a Japanese audience. And I think Mizuki has a whole different meaning in that context. Japan is a collectivist. The second I try using big fancy words, I immediately butcher them. I am sorry. Anyways, Japan is a collectivist society where a bigger group's or community's needs are prioritized over individualistic needs. That seems pretty good at first, like, yay, let's not be selfish jerks. And yeah, I get that, but in Japan it can go a bit too overboard. Like, if people don't really fit in to a bigger group, if they kind of stand out, they're casted out. For example, in Japan, if someone is sitting crying on the street, normally no one would go up to them and ask if they're okay. Like, obviously, I'm not saying it is true, I'm just saying it is normal. It's seen as normal not to do that, because people are prioritizing society's needs. Like, everyone has something to do on the street, everyone is on their way to work, or to see their family, or places to be. But it's not seen as, it's not really expected of anyone to go help people in need on the street. It's not seen as an individual's responsibility to help another individual. An individual's responsibility is to contribute to the bigger group, be one small part of a big machine. If two tiny parts go away, the bigger machine kind of could have bad consequences from that. So yeah, even paying attention to someone else's special uniqueness could be a bad thing. So, with all of that in mind, imagine that have you ever had a dream when you I am going insane. So, with all of that in mind, when Japanese people see Mizuki, someone who doesn't want to suppress all of that and is strong enough to just be themselves, they could start questioning the society they live in and maybe try to change it for the better. Mizuki's character represents people who want to be themselves in a collectivist society. They represent a lot more than just queer people. I also want to add that Mizuki's interest in J-fashion could kind of refer to some subcultures that originated that J-fashion, like Lolita, Kei, Decora, lots of like Harajuku fashion, for example, are people trying to express themselves through like interesting clothes because of the way collectivist society works in Japan. So yeah, I think Mizuki specifically having an interest in J-fashion like that could be a reference to that. So yeah, queer-coded or not, Mizuki is a character who has a really powerful message in Japanese audiences, and I think that is what they are trying to achieve with Mizuki. I wanted to make this last segment about my overall final thoughts. First of all, let's remember that we're just Western fans and Colourful Palette can do whatever they want with canon, and with how currently vague it is, it could be a Nagisa Shiota situation all over again where Mizuki was forced to present masculine because of their parent or something, and being themselves as being feminine because of, well, them being born a woman, quote unquote. So, again, all I'm saying is, with how vague everything that is confirmed is, they literally could do anything they want with canon, and we shouldn't claim anything that is likely or suspiciously a thing to be oh, let's just assume it's true, because we can't assume anything. We can just headcanon also the little queer things, which is fine, and I'm doing that myself, so yay. So, what would be a good canon in my opinion? I think keeping Mizuki's identity vague is completely within their rights, and they could just have the whole game be like this, but if they do decide to make something canon, I think it's pretty cool to have Mizuki be just someone who doesn't really care about gender, someone who doesn't care about labels. I don't personally want to know what Mizuki's assigned gender at birth is. I don't really care about it. I just think that them being a person who doesn't care about gender and has more important things to care about, like J-fashion and video editing, is pretty cool. I also want to add, because I don't think I added it anywhere else, that they don't really seem to have gender dysphoria. Sure, they have an interest in wearing clothes that aren't quote-unquote meant for their gender, or people find them weird for wearing the clothes they do wear. But all of that is it's just about the clothes. They don't actually seem to have any gender dysphoria about their body, or at least they don't talk about it in any released official content. And I think that's great. And honestly, they don't, you don't need to have dysphoria to be a valid person with a non-conforming gender. So I think, again, I don't think that's the point that the game is trying to do, but unrelated to that, it's pretty neat. So yeah, I personally am satisfied with the way Mizuki currently is. I don't think they need to have anything confirmed to be a good character, because they already are one. Yay. In conclusion, this whole thing doesn't matter that much. It's just a silly little gacha game featuring Hatsune Miku, and again, it's just, I needed to rant about this somewhere. It's nothing too overly important. And the reason why I made this video is because I just wanted to share those thoughts I had and opinions. I'm not hoping to change the Western or Japanese fandom in any way. I'm not hoping to do anything here. I'm just screaming into the void because I need to get it out of me. This game, man, it's in my brain. It's too much. But yeah, I think I'm done. That's all I needed to say. Thank you for watching my video. I have no idea when I'm gonna release this video. All I know is that I haven't posted in a while as I'm making it. I don't know if I'm gonna post anything before it or after it, but a lot of things happened during my hiatus, and I may make a video, an update video about that, or talk about that during other future videos I release. I do plan on going back to a weekly upload schedule, however, so if I do upload this video, expect a video next week. Yay! I also wanted to address how I never do video essay type stuff. I usually do art. So yeah, this is just me doing whatever the hell I feel like doing. This channel is gonna be that. I'm gonna do whatever I want. Maybe art content, maybe video essay stuff, maybe talking about my silly interests. Just whatever I feel like doing. My only goal is to have a video every week, so hopefully I can do that. And yeah, thank you so much again for watching. If you're still here, then thanks for paying attention all the way to the end, and I will see you next week. Yay, bye!